At Ritual, we know what goes into a magical holiday season: the potluck planning, the gift giving, the spreadsheets. This new year, take a moment for yourself with simple, daily rituals that help you put your foundational health at the top of your to do list. Rituals Essential for Women 18 Plus Multivitamin is a clinically backed multivitamin featuring 9 high quality key essential ingredients to help you fill key nutrient gaps in your diet. Or maybe you're stressing your daily protein intake, or you want to double down on support for your gut microbiome. From plant-based essential protein to 3-in-1 pre, pro, and postbiotic strains with Symbiotic Plus, Ritual helps you focus on supporting your body after a long season of juggling everybody else. And for a limited time, do it with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Okay, we have a returning guest with us. We have Madonna Wallen, not Whalen, Madonna Wallen, who's the mother of Natasha Cornett. Natasha Cornett's in prison right now for I guess it was several murders, right? She murdered murdered a whole family, right? Can you remind?
Except the little boy.
Except the little boy. That's right. One of them survived. That's right. I believe he got shot in the eye or something like that.
And the back. He's not able to walk real good.
How old is he now, the little boy?
Okay. Natasha's been in there 21 years. He was 2, so he's
about 24. Yeah.
18.
Well, if she's been in there for 20 years, he would have to be the other way around, be 24 if he was 2, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So now,
gee.
I know, right? Well, God bless him.
It just time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, why don't you give us a little rundown, a little quick synopsis of the story? Who is Natasha Cornett, and give us a little. Just remind the audience what happened, because there's a whole show we did we did about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
So why don't you give a little update on the reminder of what the story is?
Okay. Natasha was with 5 others, and they had decided that they wanted to leave Floyd County. That was when I was living in Floyd County. And all of them really they had something to leave because of, Natasha just wanted to get away from people, I think. And she had been to New Orleans, and that's where they were headed until they stopped at the rest stop, and Joe and Jason decided they would kidnap a family of Jehovah's Witnesses. And Natasha and Karen were in the bathroom. That was why they stopped at the rest area. And when they came out, Natasha saw that Joe was doing something, and Joe wasn't a religious type person anyway, and she knew something was up if he was going to be talking religious talk. So she told Karen, that they better hurry up and see what's going on. And Joe they talked, but Joe told them that, they had to go take their van, and they were going to go with them. Crystal and Dean was in Joe's car driving it. They had told the rest of them Joe had, and really Jason, that if any of them tried to leave, they would shoot them. So they were sort of caught up in the same situation that the Lily Lids were. They were just I guess you could call the lucky ones. They just didn't get killed, but I don't consider that being in prison very lucky. They might be alive, but it's bad.
Okay.
It's worse than anything.
So, and then what happened was, and you're saying Joe was the youngest one, right? And Joe, that's the one who was the youngest one?
Joe was the oldest, and Jason was the youngest.
Jason. So pretty much the story is now that Jason was the one who took charge and caused the murder.
Well, I guess Joe sort of took charge.
Okay.
Because he's the one that was talking to the people, and he was the one that said that go with them. And then when they got up in that hollow, I think it was still Joe, because he had one of the guns. Jason had one of the guns. And but Joe comes back in the van and throws the gun down and says, he couldn't do whatever he had planned on doing. But Jason was still there with the gun, and Natasha was trying to talk him into just, getting in the van and going and leaving, and just leaving the people there and not hurting them or anything. But he sort of promised that, but then when Natasha headed back toward the van, the shooting started, and that's when Natasha and Karen started screaming. One guy said that he heard laughing and like kids in the playground, but Natasha said that her and Karen were just screaming, and they turned around, and there he was shooting the people, and they saw it all happen, and it still stays with Natasha. I don't think they'll ever get over seeing that.
Okay, and then an attorney came forward and offered his assistance, and he came up with this defense that it was a satanic ritual slaying and along those lines.
Oh yes, he sent my next door neighbor over to me and told me that he wanted to take Natasha's case and he wouldn't charge anything. I don't know how he heard about everything so fast, unless maybe it was because the next door neighbor might have seen all the cars pull in that night, and some of them were police officers, I think. And that was her lawyer, was Eric Kahn. And I thought that he would be okay because he graduated with my daughter, and my daughter had never said anything about him. And he took her to one of the proms, and she still didn't say anything about, bad about him or anything. But after all this happened, and Eric used Natasha for publicity, he undoubtedly must have talked to some of the friends of Natasha's and Karen's, and they told everything bad that they could, who they talked to, told them everything bad that they could have told on Natasha, and made it sound a lot worse than what it was. She wasn't a satanic person.
At Ritual, we know what goes into a magical holiday season. The potluck planning, the gift giving, the spreadsheets. This new year, take a moment for yourself with simple, daily rituals that help you put your foundational health at the top of your to-do list. Rituals Essential for Women 18 Plus Multivitamin is a clinically backed multivitamin featuring 9 high-quality key essential ingredients to help you fill key nutrient gaps in your diet. Or maybe you're stressing your daily protein intake, or you want to double down on support for your gut microbiome. From plant-based essential protein to 3-in-1 pre, pro, and postbiotic strains with Symbiotic Plus, Ritual helps you focus on supporting your body after a long season of juggling everybody else. And for a limited time, do it with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Person, she did not think the devil was her father. Eric was the one that told her to say all this stuff. And all he wanted was the publicity out of it, and he got it. He even got on the news a couple of times and was being interviewed, and he even joked about it, laughed sort of about it, that, you know, he was going to plead her insane, and it was a big joke to him. But he had seen all the media people that were coming to my house, and he had told me to not to talk to them, to let them come down there and let them talk to him first. And I still feel like that if any money was changed hands, it was changed between the media and Eric Hahn. And he used everything that he heard, he used it against her. And by the time that she ended up in Greenville, those people were out in droves, you know, to see them come in the police cars. And in the time being, while he was down there in, I think it was Arizona, Natasha told me that he had hit on her and wanted her to do sexual favors for him. And this was the start of everything that she's been through since in the prison too.
Well, let me ask you this now. Did he handle this trial up until the conviction?
He wasn't able to do anything because he wasn't able to practice in Tennessee. He had no license to practice there. He knew that.
Okay, so you had a different lawyer for the trial.
Yes. Eric was going to use a Tennessee lawyer,
right,
that he had found, but the court system told that lawyer, the Tennessee lawyer, that if he tried the case, that he would never try, you know, be in court in Tennessee again. That, you know, maybe they would take his license away from him. So he stepped down, and then Robert Cupp and Stacy Street. Stacy was a man too. They took the case over.
Okay, now,
and
was any evidence presented at trial that your daughter was involved in the occult and in Satanism? Because you described in our last interview, you described quite a bit of behavior, Ouija boards, and they were in the room, and they were doing stuff in the room, and she had a satanic Bible. They went to the Church of Satan, her boyfriend. So that was her boyfriend. Right, but you described quite a bit. Now, was there any evidence presented in the court that this was a motive for the killings?
I think they said that it was a ritual killing,
right?
What they called it, and they said that Natasha was the leader of the group,
right?
And that was told to them by some of Natasha's friends that I had been letting stay there at the house because they didn't have any place to go, and they just happened to not be there when the group, you know, left.
Right.
But Dean or Joe one called, this other guy's name was Jason too. And they had called Jason, and Jason said that told him that they were going to go on the road, and they were going to go stealing cars and just doing whatever, I reckon, robbing places and all that stuff. And this wasn't Natasha. It was told that Natasha said it, but the call came from either Dean or Joe, and it was to Jason.
Okay. So ultimately, Natasha was convicted. Now, was there any appeal attempted?
There was no trial.
She pled guilty?
There was just a hearing.
And then she pled guilty?
They all had to plead guilty or get the death penalty.
Gotcha. And so now she's facing how many years? Life?
3 lifetimes.
3 lifetimes. Okay. Now, since she's been in jail, though, and she's been in prison, there was another murder inside the prison.
Well, it was an attempted murder,
okay.
I guess is what you call it. And they got it all screwed up there, too, or according to what I've been hearing from Natasha. There was a fire set in the prison by one of the prisoners, of course. And then they had to put all the prisoners in these lockdown cages, like in the middle of the rooms, not in the rooms, but in the middle, like the hallways or something.
Sure.
And this Natasha and the girl that's on death row, they were put in, and then they brought this other girl and put her in the same one with them. And this girl had threatened to kill Natasha several times while she was in prison with her.
Okay.
And what happened is the girl had a shoestring, not the one on death row, but the other one, and she put it around Natasha's neck and was choking Natasha to death. The guard was standing right on the outside of the cage. He didn't try to stop it. So the girl that was on death row, she jumped on the girl and pulled her off of Natasha and kept her from killing Natasha. So when the story got told, though, it was Natasha that had tried to kill the girl, not the one on death row, but the girl that wanted to kill Natasha. I mean, why in the world a guard would stand there and watch all this stuff, and then they would tell lies about it? That I don't understand. I mean, well, I should.
Well, well, we all know that the correction officers are a problem, and they do lie. But how do you know that they lied in this instance? Because you only heard the story from Natasha. Maybe if she was guilty of this, yeah.
I don't know. It was in the paper. I don't know if maybe I talked to somebody else that was in the prison. I don't know. Sometimes Natasha, when she's
At Ritual, we know what goes into a magical holiday season. The potluck planning, the gift giving, the spreadsheets. This new year, take a moment for yourself with simple, daily rituals that help you put your foundational health at the top of your to-do list. Ritual's Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin is a clinically backed multivitamin featuring 9 high-quality key essential ingredients to help you fill key nutrient gaps in your diet. Or maybe you're stressing your daily protein intake, or you want to double down on support for your gut microbiome. From plant-based essential protein to 3-in-1 pre, pro, and postbiotic strains with Symbiotic Plus, Ritual helps you focus on supporting your body after a long season of juggling everybody else. And for a limited time, do it with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Talking to me, if one of her friends comes up, she'll say, "Here, Mom, say hi to, so and so." But she couldn't call me from there anyway, because when they're in solitary confinement, they're not allowed to use the phone. So that's what I heard that happened. I mean,
I mean, how much time has she spent in solitary?
They had to keep her in solitary for about 3 years because everybody that was in the prison wanted to kill Natasha because they called her a baby killer.
Right.
They didn't hear her side of it. They just heard Greenville's side of it, and Greenville had all wrong.
And how is that situation now? Does she still get with the other inmates? Does she get along with them, or do they still believe that she's guilty?
No, they don't believe she's guilty now because she's proved herself over and over to them that she wasn't a killer. And the ones that have been there, the longest, and then the ones that come in, I guess, it's after that long, why it's not as publicized as it was. And the girls get to know Natasha because she's usually the ones that help them orient themselves into prison. She tells them what they can do and what they can't do. I don't know if she's doing that now, but that's what she used to be doing.
She's about 45 years old now, right?
38.
38. So she spent a long time in there. She knows the ropes, and she kind of helps out with running the little pod there, right? Now,
yes.
Right. What about any other write-ups or infractions that she's had while she's been in any violations?
A few, but they've never been, she's never had to stay in solitary except they put them there while they're investigating the case.
Right.
And she always gets out.
Okay, can you give us any idea of what kind of write-ups that she's gotten? Any idea?
Really, I don't know. It's usually just some little mundane thing, nothing serious, no fights, if she wouldn't fight, because after she got out, she started in college with Lipscomb, and she knew that if she got into a fight or if she fought back with anybody that even fought her, that she wouldn't be able to go to college.
Right.
And that was in the back of her mind all the time. And she said, I just put my hands, I think they have to hold their arms up in the air to show they're not aggressive. And she has got hurt a few times by other people because she didn't fight back, but she didn't want to lose her college degree.
And what did she study in college?
It's just a mixture of things. I'm not sure exactly. She'll have an associate degree in something. I don't know what it'll be though.
Okay.
But she's learned just about everything you can learn down there, and worked on the inside, helped paint the buildings, mowed the grass, any kind of a job she's done, I think, except cooking. I don't think she's been there yet.
When is the last time you've had a face-to-face meeting with Natasha?
Oh, gosh, it's been... time just passes without you really knowing. It's maybe, I don't know, 4 years, maybe.
How long is the trip to get down there to see her?
6 hours.
Yeah. That's a shame.
And I've got problems with my legs. That's why I don't drive down there myself.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Now, how's her treatment been from the corrections officers? I understand that you've had some problems.
There's always problems with the correction officers. As I don't think she's had any good ones.
Right.
Usually they're coming up and saying, things to her and just trying to get her to react, I believe is what they're trying to do, so that they can write her up for something. Like one incident just not too long ago, she told me that she'd had some food in the microwave, and she went to get the food out of the microwave, and the girl in the next room went to get her food at the same time, and the guard stepped in front of Natasha's door and wouldn't let her go in, but he opened the door for the other girl, which she was black, and the guard was black too. So the girl got to go in, and Natasha didn't. And she couldn't understand that, and they can't do anything about it. I mean, she could write them up, but nothing ever happens. They can hit on her for sexual favors, but they don't hit on her because she's there for the long term. They hit on the ones that are there for like a year or 2 years, and they threaten to write them up if they don't do sexual favors for them.
Okay, so there's a lot of sexual abuse between the officers and the inmates.
Yes.
Okay.
And this has been told over and over. People have tried to get some answers, but undoubtedly the whole government system there has gone to pot.
Yeah.
I mean, the workers are walking off. They're not coming to work. They don't have a full staff, I don't think. I haven't talked to Natasha in close to a month, so I don't really know it at this time. But always before, Natasha says sometimes they have to stay in lockdown all the time because they don't have enough guards to watch them if they go on break. And this is the way it's been for ever since I can remember. I mean, there's always these guards that get hard, and the first thing they do is they think this is their harem, and they can use these ladies for whatever they want to. And at first, Natasha was fighting for them, and she would, but then nothing was ever done to the guards. The girls is always put in lockdown or something,
right,
for doing what they do, and it just keeps happening. One of the representatives of the state down there, he had been trying, I don't know, for years probably, to get somebody in there investigating the prisons. And I've seen, not too long ago that they had one of the television stations were investigating, but they just had the men's prison there. Prisons are just as bad as men. I mean, it's horrible. And she works for the people in the prison. She tries to help them with when they get wrote up. Well, if they let her be the liaison, she will get them off, for whatever they're wrote up for, because Natasha knows the rules and she states the rules, and they have to go by that. But she doesn't have anybody in the prison system that tries to help her. Maybe the chaplain. I did, when Natasha tried to kill herself not too long ago, the chaplain did call me, and she talked to me, and she said she'd make sure, that Natasha got okay.
Now, there was a suicide attempt. What was the circumstances around that?
I think she was just fed up, tired of fighting, tired of having to be under the guards' rules all the time, and just, it's hard. If nobody's had anybody in prison before, they don't really know what's going on down there. And I thought it was pretty good, when at first, when I saw the girls myself, I expected, these hardcore looking girls, but they're not. They look like models. That's what they looked like to me. I mean, they had their hair all fixed, and they were clean, and they were beautiful girls. Most of them. Some of them were sort of male, you could tell, but most of them were just in there for drugs mostly.
Yeah, average people in there for drugs. And yeah, people would be surprised if they saw the average. It's pretty much the same kind of characters you see at a baseball game or at a big sporting event. Pretty much the same crowd, that you wouldn't notice a difference. A couple of guys stand out, excessive tattoos and things, but for the most part, it's just average looking people. Now, Now, you said that she spoke with the chaplain. Now, what is Natasha's faith today? She was involved in all the occult and stuff. What is she involved in now?
Well, she was okay. I mean, she was getting back, to talking to me about God, and then she's praying, that she is praying, and she's told me so many times. She said, I've been praying all my life about one thing or another. We had a bad lifetime, a section in there, and she told me, she prayed about that, and God didn't answer her prayers then, and He's not answering her prayers now. And I said, well, honey, when God thinks it's time, He'll answer them. I guess she couldn't understand that, but, we can't tell God what to do. He gives us free will. And I think He was waiting for Natasha to turn to Him.
So you think today she would identify herself as a Christian?
No.
No? Then how would she?
I don't think so. I mean, she's her kind of Christian.
Right.
She believes there is a God, and she believes, there is a devil. But I don't think she has come to the point that she thinks that devil is a real, real bad thing, yet. Maybe if she stays in there long enough, she'll know.
Now, does she
sees the devil every day there.
Yeah. Now, does she use just like tarot cards? Like, what is she, kind of things is she doing that makes you think that?
Well, she wasn't a black witch, let's put it that way.
Okay.
She was a Wiccan. That's the books that she had was Wiccan books. They believe in the earth and the trees and the sky, and they're the good, I guess you call the good witch, the white witch. But they did no evil. Natasha never hurt anybody except herself. And she only hurt herself, she said, to stop the pain. I don't know what the pain was. I've seen her cut herself once. And you see something like that and you never get over it. It does not go out of your head.
Yeah. Now,
and she's not able. See, April is always a really bad month for her because that's when it's with her every day, but it comes back to her of seeing those two people killed and the children shot. I don't think that she will ever be able to go a day without remembering that. Her, Karen, either one. I think Crystal and I don't know if Dean was in the car, but I think Crystal was in the car. I don't know if she saw it or not.
Now,
But
we're talking off the air a bit, and you kind of described that you and Natasha have had like a little falling out lately. Can you describe that?
yeah, it was over. Well, this man, I guess you can call him a man, that she had been writing to, and he had called me and talked to me several times before he got to go see her. And when he sent me two pictures of himself, and when I saw the first picture, I thought, oh my God, this is not going to go see her. No, this is going to hurt her. He had a beard down to his chest. His hair was that long too. He had tattoos all up and down his arm. I saw the tattoo on the side of his face, but I didn't know what it was at that time until I saw another tattoo, another picture of him after he got his hair cut. He's got his hair cut now. He's got his beard all shaved off, not completely, but it's real even and cut real trim, since he started seeing her at the prison. But in the picture, when he had his face turned, I seen a tattoo on his forehead, and I thought, oh no, what in the world? And I had seen these before. And I knew that it was a Nazi sign, insignia or whatever they call them. And I thought, he can't go in that prison. They won't let him in there with that tattoo on his head, I don't think. Well, they didn't let him in the first day, but I think it was because his truck smelled funny, so they thought he had some dope in the truck or something. But he came back the next day and they let him in.
Okay.
I mean, he had the long hair, the long beard, the whatever you want to call the thing on his head. They let him in. And he's been going, I told him, yeah, it's really my message. And I told him, after I knew he had things read, and I told him, you're going to have to clean up and he had put up a page on Facebook, and he had all these pictures of himself on there, and one of them was in like a provocative laying back sort of thing, showing his nipple ring. And the others were mostly, well, they looked like the devil to me because his eyes were all popped out and he would just, and that's what he looked like. And he had these dark looking clothes on. And I thought, oh, goodness heavens above.
Well, let me ask,
this is not going to help her. This is not going to help her.
Yeah, how did these two meet?
I think he started writing her. I don't know how that he got her address or anything like that, but there's been so many people writing her. They just hear maybe her name or spread, and so they look her up on the Tennessee, I guess, where they're in prison, and get her number, and they can write her that way.
Right.
There's been a lot of them, that have written to her.
Yeah.
And there's that one guy that's in another prison started writing her when she was in Greenville, and he's still writing to her. So that has to be how that happened.
Right. Now, it seems that, because ever since we did the show together, it seems like a lot of her supporters, have contacted me, I'm very excited that she's getting some press and stuff. But it seems like, I would say about 80% of the people who contact me seem to be also involved in the occult and that kind of activity and beliefs as well. Now, does she have that kind of following?
I don't know. I don't know what these people that no, I know the one and only and she doesn't. And I don't know about all of them. They all have the ones that I've talked to. Some are, like to draw, and they'll draw, maybe some people would say they're just not that kind of art, but it's art for them. As long as they're keeping themselves busy and doing things like that, they're not going to be doing anything else. So maybe they all have a different opinion about heaven and hell, or God and the devil. But the Wiccans they're not bad people. I mean, they might believe, in the Wiccan, but it's not bad. It's not like a seance. They don't have seances or black magic or anything like that. I've read their books, and I've got some of them, some that were Natasha's. She would tell me to write, order a book, and I'd order it, and she'd read it, and she'd send it to me. So I've got all kinds. If anybody wants, come to look at my house, they'd think I was a witch, probably. And I guess that's where she got it from, because I had joined a book club, and I got these books. One of them was called The Black Arts, and it had all kinds of ways to tell fortunes or read your palms, read the bumps on your head, you name it. And if it was to be done, you could do it from that book, so they said.
So she gets books. People send her books. I guess she has like an Amazon wish list, and they send her books. And then after she's done reading them, she sends them to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't do that now, though. She just puts them in what she gets. She puts them in the library.
Right.
There at the prison. So I guess they got all kinds of books in the prison, unless they throw them away. I don't know.
So she has a lot of supporters and a lot of people who follow her case?
Yes. Now, since I have been getting in touch with a lot more people,
right.
Wanting them to check Natasha's page out, and she has to. And I hear that this boy has put 2 pages up for him and Natasha now. So I don't know what. I haven't checked them out. I haven't looked at them. I'm a little afraid to look at what I might see. But he has come between me and Natasha. The last time I talked to you, somebody managed to get to Natasha and tell Natasha that I really didn't do any good for her at all. That I, shouldn't have said some of the things I did. All I'm trying to do is tell the truth.
Right.
And if it makes people, get mad, so be it. But if the prison gets mad, let them come get me. I don't care.
You're saying that Natasha was upset about our last interview?
She was upset by what the people told her.
Okay.
And then she's had other people to call her since then and tell her that I had her back all the way.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show people that she's not a killer. And those 3 girls, they don't need to be in prison any longer. They all 3 need to be out, because they didn't commit murder. Sure, they were there. And that's ungodliest law I've ever heard in my life. If somebody is walking down the street right beside you and he pulls out or she pulls out a gun and shoots somebody, am I going to be at fault because I was walking beside them?
Well, the thing in this case, how that works is she was in the commission of a crime when the murder took place. So then, yeah, you are complicit with that crime. You are charged with the crime of murder. If she was involved in the potential hijacking or the carjacking of the car.
She wasn't, though, because Joe did the hijacking, and it was told that Natasha wanted them to do that. Joe told all that stuff. But they had already got the lily lids before her and Karen came out of the bathroom. Then, when Natasha and Karen wanted to not go, they said, "You're going, because if you don't, we'll shoot you." So what does that tell you? Are they doing it by choice or by persuasion of a gun?
Well, the thing is, though, did she ever run to the police and say, I want to report the murder that happened right before my eyes?
She didn't get a chance to.
Yeah. And also, too, and she never offered to testify against her co-defendants in order to get a better deal?
No.
Yeah.
She wanted to take it back. She was the last one to sign the plea.
Right.
And she'd asked Stacey Street to take it back, that she didn't. She wanted to go to trial. And he told her that she couldn't do that. But she's learned that she could have done that. They could have let her do that. But Tennessee didn't have any money for 6 trials. And that's the way they would. They already had the town. They was going to not have it in Greenville. They already had the town picked out where they was going to have the trial and everything. But then they didn't have enough money. So they made a plea bargain. They made them commit perjury themselves by saying there were 5 of them wasn't that guilty. Joe was, he was guilty too. He was driving. But the other ones, all they did was think of the gun, I guess, and they had to go right along with what Jason wanted,
right,
or get killed.
And you say the driver, because he drove over one of the victims as well.
Yes, and they said he left.
Right.
I mean, he played this sweet, innocent person in that hearing. Oh, he did a good job. Fake as it could be. I don't know why in the world they believed him. He just you just thought sugar wouldn't melt in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no tears, no remorse whatsoever. And then Crystal, she didn't take the stand. Dean didn't take the stand, but Karen and Natasha did. And they both cried. I looked at Natasha's picture of when she was 4 months, 18 at that time. And I looked at her and the picture of her now. She was a baby. I mean, she might have been 18, but she was still that child.
No, I hear you. My daughter's 18.
And you see the child.
Sure.
You don't see an adult. Stay close to her. I mean, that's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
And Eric Kahn, do you know he sent me a friend's request on Facebook?
Yeah, I think there's something about lawyers. They have no shame. They just have no shame.
How did he do that? I mean, well, he's in federal prison. He can probably do anything.
Oh, he's in prison too. He's in prison too for what?
Oh, yes. embezzling millions and millions of dollars from the Social Security
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we
Administration.
talked about this, right? I remember now. Yeah, he had those.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that happens. Yeah.
He's one of those good guys too.
Yeah, that's a very lucrative operation there. You get the you apply,
$7,000 a pop.
yeah, you apply for Social Security disability, and then they deny you. So you wait about a year, and then it all builds up, and then you go get a lawyer, and then you get a nice big chunk of money.
Yeah, they paid him $7,000, and that's out of, I forget how many cases he had, but they said he had millions of dollars. He's probably still got millions of dollars that the Social Security Board hasn't found yet.
And when does he get out? Do you know?
I have no idea, but if I had anything to do with it, he'd stay there for a lifetime too.
Madonna,
Because he ruined Natasha. He did ruin Natasha, and he did it because he wanted the publicity. He didn't have billboards all over the place at that time. It was after Natasha that the billboards went up all over the place. He had a statue made on the billboards. He put the statue of some president up in his front yard of his offices. He's built more rooms onto that trailer that it started out to be. He had a very lucrative business, but he used Natasha to step on to get there.
Okay, we don't want to dwell on Mr. Cohen. You know, he's. What do you want to leave us with? You only got a couple of minutes left. What would you like to leave the audience with?
Well, I just hope that this man or boy or guy that Natasha is dealing with right now, that he doesn't hurt her, which I think he's from Greenville of all places. He's a biker. He belongs to a biker club, and it's not one of those with a suit and tie. They wear the leather wrist things and all that. And if she manages to get out, and if this guy, I don't know, I feel really bad about him, like he's going to really hurt her. And it's not, I don't know, he played the good guy with me, and now he's got Natasha so she doesn't call me. She's telling things on me that didn't happen, and that has broke my heart. I don't know how much more that I can take, but I am still sure that she did not commit murder, and she doesn't need to spend the rest of her life in prison, because prisons do something to people and they're never the same afterwards.
Yeah. We have a totally inhumane prison system in this country. There's no doubt about that. We incarcerate more people in the United States than anywhere else in the world. More than, I think someone told me, more than China and Russia combined, which I do believe.
But it's the people that they hire. I mean, why do they let them get by with mistreating the women after they get in there?
Yeah. Well, the profession attracts a certain type of person. And again,
I saw the men, they were really, just doing all kinds of stuff on, and the men's in Tennessee, and it was showing, what they were doing and everything else. And they were just smoking and just having a ball. It's like,
yeah, and they make a fortune too, bringing in drugs and cell phones and stuff like that. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's so it attracts a certain kind of person. Yeah, but anyway, but the thing is, I just want to make clear that if people listen to the show and it gets back to Natasha, that Madonna Wallen has a good heart, and she's trying very hard to do the best she can to present a good side of Natasha. Some of my questions may be a little bit difficult and a little bit one-sided, but this should be, and I would really regret if this, especially if our interviews cause any division between mother and daughter. So Natasha, your mother really does love you if you hear this. And just try and take that into consideration there. And Madonna, thank you. Yeah,
I don't think it had anything to do with you. I think it had something to do with the man that she's
the new guy,
having to visit her right now.
Well, Madonna, thank you so much. Okay, and God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. I know it's tough. Okay, and God bless you. I know you've had a rough time with this, and God bless you.
Thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Oh boy. Well, there you have Madonna Wallen, who's the mother of Natasha Cornett. It's just so heartbreaking. Anybody that, especially got an 18-year-old kid, winds up in prison for the rest of their life. The average person, I've just seen so many people get convicted. So many people go to prison. I got a friend of mine right now who's facing 14 years over nonsense. You see it over and over. You get caught up in the system. All stuff that could be avoided. And we have but one life to live on this earth, So I really do hope that I know a lot of fans of Natasha listen to this show, and everyone I've seen, they're all very extreme type of people. There was a couple that didn't appear to be too out of the ordinary. But that just keep in mind that Madonna Wallen wants to, she's trying very hard to present a good picture, but the facts are the facts, and it really can't be avoided. So I pray that Natasha repents, and can have be delivered from all this, man, and just have a whole new life of salvation. Okay, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the show. Put this in the member section, guys, and if you want to look up more about this case, it's Natasha Cornett, the Satan's daughter, I think they called it. And listen to the first show we did too about this, where we went into detail about her childhood growing up in the home and all the stuff they were doing in the bedroom and her trips down to New Orleans to see Anne Rice and stuff. And then the circumstances around the murder, there's all kinds of allegations that there were blood rituals being done. And the night before in a motel room, and triangles, shooting and formations and stuff at the crime scene. So thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much, Madonna Wallen and Natasha Cornett. Forgive your mom. She's trying to do the best she can. Good night.